And welcome back to Squirrel Trails.
Hi there, folks.
So, how's your week been? Or 2 weeks now?
It's been 2 weeks. Easter, hey, I'm working a lot more with a sword, my Taekwondo form.
Okay.
Causes commentary when you practice outside and you're waving a sword around, so I got to figure out a better way to do that. But yeah, just kind of normal. How about yourself?
Yeah, so...
You had tests.
The test. We passed that certification test.
Yay.
Yeah, I did. Oh, yeah, I didn't tell you.
No.
You're right. Didn't tell anybody. Well,
nor have you put it on this blog at all.
Yeah. I passed my overhead certification.
Without setting yourself on fire.
Without setting myself on fire.
So describe what an overhead test is.
So for SMAW is stick welding.
Okay.
And the overhead test is where I'm welding above my head. Well, it could be above my head or essentially upside down.
Okay.
So I don't have to be doing this. I could be looking under, and so it's...
So you got stuff dropping on you.
So it's dropping down, but yes.
So
you're welding upside down. The weld is upside down, not necessarily you upside down. So that would be it.
Okay, well, given your life, upside down makes sense.
Yeah,
I got it.
Yeah,
there.
right.
And you didn't set yourself on fire.
This time. I did set myself on fire. Didn't notice until all of a sudden it got really warm when it wasn't supposed to be.
Well, you grew up in Phoenix, so you really do like the heat.
And that's, to be honest, that's why I like welding. It's always warm. And all of a sudden, my leg was getting kind of warm, and the denim started on fire. It actually didn't start on fire. Denim smolders.
Okay.
So they didn't have like flames. Again, why you wear denim.
Okay.
So you don't go up in flames, you just smolder.
So clothes are important when you're doing this kind of work.
Clothes are, it's one of those things. Steel toe shoes, denim, wool, yeah. So I did burn myself quite a bit today.
What did you do?
I touched something really hot. Sorry, that was...
Good to know.
That's how it works.
That was the clumsy one.
So my stinger, my glove has a hole in it on the thumb. I got like 4 holes. It's kind of bound to happen. Again, it's just, I know it's there, so I just kind of work around it.
Except for today.
I have thought about getting a new pair of gloves. Just haven't yet.
Okay.
I'm trying to wait until halfway through the school to get a new pair of gloves.
Because they aren't cheap.
Right. And so getting a new pair of gloves every 30 days is not what I want to do.
Okay.
So what we're working on now. So anyways, hold on. Rewind.
Sorry, guys.
Randomness. So the overhead, yes. So overhead, passed that, my second attempt.
Good.
I'll pop out a picture. I did fail my first time. So if you zoom in really close, you'll see why it says that I failed. Because when I smoothed it out, it became too thin.
Okay.
So it passed the bend test on the first one.
Yep.
But it was just too skinny.
Okay.
Which was super frustrating. Because passing the bend test on the first time, I was the only student that happened to. So it was super frustrating that the only reason why I failed because I was trying to make it too smooth.
Okay.
But then took it again my second time and passed.
I'm actually using your experiences at my office.
Are you?
So when I use a lot of analogies when we're talking about IT technology stuff.
Sure.
Because it simplifies things. And so since David's studying metallurgy, I can't say the word. That thing.
Metallurgy?
Thank you. One of the things I learned out of this that I did not know, I don't think we've mentioned, is when you weld something together, the strongest point is the weld.
Yes.
If you've done it properly.
Yep. It's also where it fails the most.
Okay.
Depending on the cracks.
Okay.
Not necessarily the crack in the weld, but if you leave a gap in between the weld and the metal, if it's too large,
right,
that's considered a crack because it's a bending point.
And that would go to the point of doing it correctly. That would have been incorrect.
Yep.
Right,
So the weld is the strongest point. And again, it's because you're blending.
Right.
What you're doing is you're melting the metal with a stick, or TIG welding, you're still melting the, what you're adding into the weld and the current metal, whatever that metal is.
So when I do a lot of talk about processes in my work, and I've made a point over the last several decades that, God, how old am I? But anyway, thank you. That processes, the weakest point of the process is typically at interface points between groups, because we don't handshake very well between the groups. And I was actually using metallurgy as an example, that if we do our processes correctly, we meld the activities together in such a way that they form a cohesive whole and they stay strong. And we don't do that very often in reality, but it's a concept that I would like to get across to people.
It's a great concept.
So, okay,
yeah, for sure. So this week, been working on, now that we're doing, that's done.
Yep.
We're moving on to pipe welding.
Okay.
But before we get to the actual pipe, we're working on the plates being separated with a gap to open a root.
Okay.
And so adding that open root.
Okay, you need to explain what open root
Sorry,
is.
yes, I forget.
You folks haven't been in class. Sorry.
My bad. No, yeah. So it's open. So open root is where the two pieces of metal you're putting together, there's a space in between them. So previously there was a plate behind it. Mm-hmm. This time there's nothing behind it.
Okay.
And so I'm tying in both sides of the metal with a rod, melting it and blending it together, combining it together with nothing backing it.
So it could be two pieces of metal standing vertically.
Yep.
That you're building out.
Yeah, so we're gonna just tie them together, and so you're gonna essentially melt something in between it so it gets warm enough so they both combine.
I am going to suggest that he add a little link to somebody's video or something.
Yeah, so I'll find something, I'll throw up a picture, kind of, yeah. So, again, this is stuff that I'm finding very interesting, kind of like the book I let you borrow about metallurgy.
I mean, I have to give it back at some point?
You do have to give it back. You can't add it to the library. No.
Actually, it's really fun. I mean, believe it or not, studying a book written in the 50s on metallurgy. So, damn, as old as I am. And talking about stuff older than I am. But anyway, it's a fascinating read.
Yeah.
Get a chance to, if you are interested in learning something new, metallurgy and welding is kind of an interesting topic.
It is.
I had not thought I would find this fascinating, but of course, as most people at work would say, there's a few things I don't find fascinating.
True, yeah.
Okay, but anyway, we'll provide some links on that before, because we're like wandering even more than normal today.
Yeah. So,
yikes.
But yeah, so this week's topic, actually, something happened to a close friend of mine. So I'm some of the people kind of, when something happens, they're curious, they often reach out to me and ask. So all of a sudden, I'm in school.
Yep.
And I get a picture on my phone. And I'm like, this is like right at the end of school.
Okay.
So I get a picture of him going.
And it's not going to be a picture to get you in trouble.
No. This is, well, yes, it is a picture that's going to get you in trouble. Not that kind of trouble, but got them in trouble. Rolling. So I'll throw up a picture of what I got and what happened to them. We're going to call this person Frank.
Frank it is.
So Frank was on a laptop and got a pop-up.
Okay, you get a lot of pop-ups.
A lot of pop-ups. On a brand new laptop, and started freaking out, took a picture, sent to me. It ended up being...
Was he just freaking out because it was a pop-up?
So we'll get into that.
Okay.
So we're going to... But yeah, so essentially got scammed.
Okay.
And we're going to be discussing the process in the what took place, but just briefly bringing it down.
Okay.
Got scammed.
We'll keep it fairly simple.
Trying to make it simple a little bit. Clicked the link, then called the number on the screen. It wasn't Microsoft support.
We got to get a little more background at this point in time. So, what popped up on the screen?
So what popped up? In an ad, or not an ad, but a warning that basically hit all the check marks when it comes to social engineering. So first off, there is sound blaring, which even shocked me.
So most of you folks have probably gotten something that pops up on the screen saying that you've been infected.
Yep.
And that's kind of where we're going here.
Yep, that's what's going on. So the first thing was all the sound.
Yep.
Just blaring. Frank tried to close the laptop. The sound
Didn't
was
stop.
still
Yep.
on. Super strange. That was the first for me. Then, of course, in the ad, if you read or the pop-up, it talked about don't restart your computer. Let's see here. Access has been restricted. By ignoring this warning, things will happen. Log into your Windows account or your admin account or call this number.
So it's essentially you're being conned at that point in time. You're getting a message that says, your machine has a bad thing happening, has malware going on, and you need to call this number to get help.
Yep.
And you aren't allowed to touch your computer until you take care of this.
And that's the tough part.
There's right.
Clicking the X, nothing happens. Closing it down, nothing happens.
And it had a lot of sound, which is kind of unusual.
Yep.
So it's sensory overload at this point in time.
And that's part of that social engineering, is that what can we do to throw everything at you to make you do what we want?
So let's walk through that just a little bit.
Sure.
A screen pops up on your screen. Happens to all of us. How many times do you get pop-ups? But in this case, a screen pops up saying, and it's not from your antivirus product, it's not from any data protection service you've got on your computer. It basically says, you need to contact Microsoft or Mac, I don't know, whoever, and you have, or report to the police. It could be, I've seen those too.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to call this number to solve this problem. And you're not allowed to do anything else. And so like any other con, it works on pushing your buttons.
Yeah.
So let's walk through those things that it did.
Sure.
Lots of noise.
Yep.
So it's gotten your attention, and because of the noise, and from what Frank was saying, I talked to Frank as well, that it was so noisy it impacted everybody in the house.
Yeah.
So they had to take action because it was impacting other people.
Yep.
So
and then it talked about your access being restricted.
yeah, you're not allowed to do anything else.
Don't do anything else.
Right. So this is a very normal process. It does this, it comes up and provides pressure to you. It tells you to contact somebody right now, and
it provides that number.
And it provides you a number.
It shows that release. Hey, how to solve this? Here, that number. There's no try to figure it out yourself. Try to find the number. We're going to provide that right here.
In fact, it tells you you can't do that. And in point of fact, in most of these, it actually locks the system up so you can't.
You can't. Yep.
So
except for the number that's on the screen.
Except for the number on the screen. And so it creates that sense of urgency, just like any good con man. Mm-hmm. If you think about somebody, or any good salesman for that matter, that when they want you to do something, they're trying to give you a chance to say, go do this right now.
Right now.
And you need to make this decision. Buy this car today, and you'll save $5,000
Yep.
because I can talk to my manager today.
Yes.
Same concept.
Yep.
But in this case, you don't get anything out of it.
Well, you think you get.
You think you
get
get
your
out
laptop
You think
or
you're
your,
getting
your computer back.
So let's walk through a little bit what happened here. So Frank ended up calling the number. Okay. Don't call
the number. Be honest. What Frank should have done: close the laptop,
power off. Well, not even power off. Just unplug it.
Just unplug it. Yep. And even if it's making noise, cover it up.
Yeah.
Put it away. And then bring it into
a repair shop of some kind.
Unless you know what you're doing, even then, sometimes when you're that close, it's best just to hand it off.
But if you see one that comes up and it doesn't have, because this one was intense.
Yep.
Don't press the close button. Don't press the X button, because every place on that little pop-up, it's collecting data.
Yep.
And in this case, it actually asked for Frank to enter the Windows ID and password.
Windows admin. And luckily Frank didn't know that, or what to enter in. Frank tried. It didn't work out. But they captured.
But They capture.
So here's what happened after Frank called the number. So Frank called the number, talked with a friendly person, and
Oh no, your con man's going to be friendly?
apparently,
Who knew?
Who knew?
I thought they'd be ugly.
And told that person what was going on.
Yep.
And that person's like, "Yep, no worries. Let me help you out," and was able to have Frank go to a different website. I still don't know how that part took place, and installed permissions for them to access the laptop, for them to get rid of all the malware.
And in this case, they actually had Frank download a remote control product so that they could literally take control fully of the device
100%.
as if they were at the keyboard.
Yep,
And how long were they on the computer?
about an hour.
It was longer than that.
Was it longer than that?
Yeah, it's like 2 hours.
Okay, yeah, a long time.
It was a long
Oh yeah,
time.
because it was actually because
So-
then Frank got that taken care of, and
Kinda.
so for there's a fee
Yeah.
for this to happen, and then
But you got some free software out of the deal, didn't
Got-
they? I thought they got some Windows software for free out
yeah,
of
Frank
this.
Frank got Microsoft Windows 365
Which-
for free,
Frank already had.
which Frank already had, which was frustrating. The laptop was just set up 3 days prior.
Right.
I helped Frank set it up, or we helped Frank set it up.
So it's your fault.
It's my fault. To be honest, it's been, yes.
Frank may have said that.
I've said that to myself. But we'll get into why that may have not been the case. There's a couple things. Anyways,
We will eventually get to the end of this.
100%. This is, be honest, this is more about storytelling and then informational. Because we're going to have a lot of information on what not to, not just what not to do, but kind of things to watch out for. So using that, the remote, they had Frank access their different websites, different browsers, and bank accounts.
They literally downloaded, as far as I can tell, everything off of Frank's computer.
Yep.
So that's the reason they were on for 2 hours. So you could actually copy everything down, all the passwords. So think about how many passwords you have saved in Windows, Edge, Firefox, whatever you happen to be using, that's stored there. Yeah, the bad guys got all of those.
All of that. Yep.
Which includes literally all your financial stuff.
All yeah. So one thing you should go look at and see, which surprised both of us, of how much if you
many
go
passwords?
to your Internet Explorer, Firefox, whatever your passwords.
Yep.
What's there for every website you go to, which was crazy.
It's almost as bad as how many subscriptions am I paying for?
A thing I don't
Hold on,
want to look at. Yeah. So, but yeah. So Frank ended up paying the money. It was all got the device taken care of, and then we had to figure out how to fix it and get everything off of it. So it does happen to everybody. This is
Yes.
the frustrating part. So how often does this happen?
I mean, I did some research on this after that to see what's the actual numbers. I work at a bank, and fraud is obviously a hot topic at a bank because, to be honest, the number of people that have to, if you close a bank account, there's a good chance you're going to go to another bank. So the banks are all over this kind of stuff. This is the highest growing area of fraud that there is right now. There are, got numbers here, it went from just around, hold on, pull my numbers, I had them.
You don't got to memorize everything.
Yeah, paper, it's a thing. In 2025, there were $2 billion in dollars in reported losses, and these are reported losses. These are all
People that make reports to the
people who report to the FBI.
Yeah,
So if
yep.
if you just contacted a local police department, it may not actually roll into these numbers.
Yeah.
The year previously, it was like 1.5 million. The year previously is about 1 million. So it's continuing to grow, and it hasn't peaked yet, according to the stats that we're seeing. It is continuing to grow. It's huge because how many people use computers these days that are actually knowledgeable? I'm 69 years old. There are a number of people my age that don't know a lot about computers.
Yeah.
And so this gets popped up,
Or you think you do
or you think you do.
because you grew up in that industry or in that field, or you grew up with it and you think you know, but you may not. Again, social engineering.
It's social engineering. People fall for it all the time. Some of you may have seen it, have fallen for it. You may have closed out of it. You may still have gotten impacted, but you didn't actually fail. You didn't actually send money to somebody. But this is a huge fraud. Romance fraud is another area. There's a lot. Gift cards are huge into this. So these are these are attributes to think about if somebody's asking you to do this. A key element, if it comes up on your screen and it's flashing and it's bright and it says don't touch anything, it's probably malware. It's probably an attack.
So Microsoft, Apple, all those companies, if you see their number on an ad saying, hey, call now to get this taken care of, they'll never do this. They've come out and said that we don't do this.
Yeah, it's
We're
not
not
what they
going to give you the number to call, even though, to be honest, probably why they don't.
No, and in point of fact, when Frank called, he didn't get Microsoft, he got a technician that was, quote, certified by Microsoft.
Yep.
So that's the other side. I mean, that's there. Here's the deal. If you get something if you're getting a notice from your Norton 360, McAfee, whatever you happen to be using, it's not going to ask you to send money.
Yeah, so this is just a good tie-in or question. So Frank had McAfee.
Yep.
Why was they able to get a pop-up like this, even though they had the software?
So the pop-up isn't malware. That's the first thing I'm doing. Frank had an antivirus product installed. Didn't have a VPN, didn't have some of the more advanced features on there, but had basic anti-malware protection. This isn't malware. This is something that actually just executes from the browser.
Okay.
It's no different than if a website calls some other website and brings it up. It works very much the same way.
Okay.
It's just a call to, in this case,
ad pop up on
just
Amazon.
Yeah,
Hey, this is for
very
sale.
simple. Yep.
Same thing.
It works the same way, and actually just loads in much the same way. It's loaded in a frame someplace, and just somebody can click on someplace on the screen. That's the other thing, is it won't necessarily be someplace that you would normally click. It'd just be something that gets moused over that causes that to kick off.
Gotcha.
So, but it's not malware. Your antivirus product will generally not stop these things. So you, as the user, have to be smart enough, and I'm going to say sensitive enough to go, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. Because if it doesn't feel right, it's generally not right.
Yeah, and that's the biggest part. Is that like you said, if it's all that urgency, generally.
By the way, it's the same thing for phishing emails. If you get an email that's saying, hey, you need to act on this now to get this product, do these things, click on this button here right now, that can very well be malware as well.
It's same. I'll be honest. The same thing with the phone call.
Yes.
And your son or your cousin or whatever says, "Hey, I need money now." A lot of scams are happening with that these days, saying, "Hey, I'm stuck on the side of the road. I don't have my wallet. I need to get this fixed. Can you Venmo me or whatever money?"
Yeah, this is
The
internet and connectivity and cell phones have allowed us to have. I mean, back when I was even your age, all I had to worry about was a Nigerian prince sending me a letter in the mail. So, interesting story. There actually was a Nigerian prince that went to jail recently for this. So, anyway, because of all this connectivity, we as users have to be a lot more cautious about what we do. We have to think about it and be going, does this actually make sense and respond to that? That was the value of this one, is that they used that sound and flashing lights to
That was the
force
first time I've ever seen or heard that happening.
Yeah, I'd never seen that, never heard of that before. So that added a huge level of urgency because you got sensory overload to Frank.
Yeah.
And I, to be honest, I'm not frustrated with Frank at all at this because I might have responded as well. Catch me at a bad moment, and I'm not the most gullible person in the world.
No, yeah, this is something that me and Frank talked about afterwards, because Frank was extremely frustrated because they know me. They know all the questions to ask. They know all the red flags. And I kept telling Frank, no, they caught you at a bad time. A lot of this is just timing. And that sound took your sensor overload and pushed you to do things you wouldn't do. And when you were on the phone with them, because they were helping you, it felt bad, but it felt good at the same time.
No, because you're actually feeling pretty good about the fact I have somebody that's solving this problem for me.
Yep, and they're doing it for me. They got rid of the sound, and so I should pay for this service. These things should happen.
So remind me to sell Frank a timeshare next. So here's some things to think about, because we could talk about this for hours and probably would if we allowed ourselves. If something pops up on your screen you don't recognize, you need to challenge it. You need to think about, does this actually make sense? Should I be doing this? And if it doesn't make any sense, unplug the device, leave it, let it power down all the way, and just be done with it. And to be honest, if you've done anything other than that, it's not a bad idea to take it someplace and have it checked out.
Sure.
And that's what Frank did.
Yep.
I mean, because again, it was a relatively new computer. He didn't have a lot of stuff to lose. So he could basically wipe it down, clean it up. My concern had been because somebody had been on their box for 2 hours, I had no idea what they could have been loading.
Yep, and that's one thing double checked. And the, go ahead, sorry. Break.
So make sure you do those things. Treat anything you see from the computer. If it's something that you don't recognize, whether it's an email or something else, treat it with caution. Again, this is the fastest growing fraud. And why is that?
Because it's easy.
It's easy and it works.
Yep.
And that's the other side. In this case, they had somebody they didn't use the debit card. They used a debit card and then performed a wire transfer.
And because it's a wire transfer,
can't get it back.
Can't get it back. Well, most likely can't get it back.
And you're talking, Frank's talked to the fraud department at the bank. They're going to see what they can do, probably.
Yep.
I don't have a lot of faith that that's actually going to come together.
I don't either.
But that's,
Yep.
but they want, to be honest, the banks want to help these days, but there's limited things that they can do about this. But it's really huge. This is happening so often. It's easy to do. People fall for it all the time. Older people, and to be honest, younger people, because people that are young and I don't mean teenagers, I mean people in their 20s. I almost said kids, I'm sorry.
One help at service, please. One help at service.
That it becomes they're trained to trust the device. And, what comes across on your phone is something you can trust. By the way, this could happen on any device.
Sure. So, and real quick, with the wire transfer.
Yep.
Frank did try to give him a credit card. They said no. We can't take a credit card.
That would be a real clue right there.
That's what Frank said. We can't take a credit card over the phone? They need a wire transfer? That's weird.
So why? And the reason for that is
because they know
you can get the money back.
Yep. If you use a credit card,
the merchant is the one at risk. You can call your bank. They will reverse that charge. You can get it back.
Not with a debit card.
Not with a gift card.
Not with a gift card.
Because you'll see some of these others where they'll say, well, go over to the store and buy a gift card.
Yep.
We'll take care of it that way. That should be a clue that this is not a regular person because they're not taking credit cards.
Yeah.
So which merchant do you have that doesn't take a credit card and requires you to go to Target and buy a gift card?
True. Right. Yeah.
Don't see that very often.
Yep.
So those are all good warning symbols you need to think of. So how do you prevent something like this from happening? Well, you can't prevent it, but what are some things that you should be doing?
What should I be doing?
So
you have to listen for you, not me. I should have said. So, what should you do to prevent this from happening?
Okay, so a couple things you need to do in general is one, just be aware of it. Make sure your device is up to date. If you've got Microsoft, if you've got something, make sure that the software you're running is current and hasn't got isn't out of date, out of support. Because there's a lot of security patches that could be preventing some of these things. Not necessarily all of them, but some of them. Having out-of-date software is a big contributor to them being able to park malware, be able to have attack vectors into your system.
Okay.
So keep your stuff current where you can. Don't have browser extensions that you don't need. If you don't know what a browser extension is, we'll talk about that at some other time, because you probably need to think about those kinds of things.
If you don't know what it is, Google it.
Yeah. So, key point, report the event. Don't respond to it. And even if you were bright enough not to, and I hope you are, not to do something, report the event. Contact your local police department and say, somebody tried to scam this, and provide any data. I mean, it's not invalid to take a picture of the screen with your phone.
Yep.
And I would actually recommend that so that they have some of that data available.
Again, that's how we got some of the information we're going to show you, is because Frank knew to take some pictures.
And because this isn't going away.
And one of the reasons why the point of reporting is it's not always from someone overseas.
No, it's locals.
Sometimes we believe, well, if it's happening overseas, we're going to never get anything back. It's coming closer to home these days.
Because, you mean, there are bad guys in the United States too?
No.
Who knew?
Who knew?
So, and the other thing is that we do have a lot of support groups that are overseas from the banks and everybody else. So, having a foreign voice is kind of normal these days.
Yeah.
To be honest, you kind of expect it anymore in call centers.
If your IT support isn't from overseas,
yeah,
or the IT support.
Yeah, back decades ago, we had these jokes about Peggy. But don't be cautious, no matter the accent that they have, how nice they are, how much they're facilitating the process. If they are trying to take money from you, be very cautious. I mean, to be absolutely honest, and I would say that true of almost any kind of time somebody's contacted you, email, and certainly directly from a pop-up on a screen, give me money.
Yeah. So
why haven't I thought of that?
Things that I've done. Like I was telling Frank, that if you see the number, don't call that number. Use your phone and Google it.
Google it.
And you just go, hey, dial Microsoft support.
Google it. Don't call it.
Don't call it. Don't call the number. Look up the number. Because the number you look up on Google or whatever search engine you use will be better than what's on the pop-up.
And to be honest, when I get some emails and such, I'll tell somebody, or even on a phone call, hey, I need to contact you because you've got this payment that's past due, and I might have a payment that's past due. Happens. I say, okay, which company you're with, and then I contact that. I go to their company's website and pull that data up.
Yep.
Do not feel that pressured for you to do something on the phone simply because somebody's contacting you.
And if you ask them, hey, what company you're from, and they start beating around the bush, that's a good sign.
That's a good sign. Bad things are happening.
Bad things are going to happen. Even when my bank called me to update me on a credit card, I said, great, what's your employee number? Let me call you back. Hung up the phone and then called the number on the back of my card.
Right.
And then got connected to that person that way. Right. Just to make sure that they were who they were, because they were asking questions that I was unhappy with just giving to a random person that called me.
And I would like to think that we live in a better world than that, but we don't.
We don't, sorry.
So you need to be cautious. I mean, if you've contacted somebody and you know them, cool. Mm-hmm. Do whatever you feel you need to do at that point in time. But if it's just some random Yahoo, I would take it with a grain of salt and be really careful on this.
Yeah.
Now, this has been a lot heavier than what we normally do. So I apologize.
Yep. This was something that happens to everybody, and I think that we should do this once a year.
Yeah, and to be honest, one of the things that is encouraged on any of the articles I read on this is awareness. So if it hasn't happened to you, or even if it has, reach out and talk to other people about this. Be that public service announcement in your area.
Yep.
Reach out, talk to people about it, and if you've been burned on it, don't be shy. It's happened to everybody else.
On that, and being that friendly person to remind other people to be cautious, how often do companies train their employees for like phishing scams?
We get trained.
Could you?
Yeah, we get formal training at least once a year.
So could you then, once you get formal training at your company, then go talk to a friend of yours?
Absolutely.
That way you're timing it with an event.
Yep.
You get trained, then tell someone else.
Yep.
Pass it along. I think it's just a helpful tip.
And to be honest, we get reinforcement training all the time on this. I work for a major bank. As we do this, we get tested on a regular basis, and we get emails that come in and say, "Are you, and click here." And if you clicked there when you weren't supposed to, there will be a discussion later. I'm gonna say nobody gets fired, but I mean, you fail often enough, bad things happen.
Sure.
But the reality is, this is an educational process, and we do as bankers we're asked and encouraged to talk to our friends and neighbors about this, to make sure that they understand the exposures that happen with this, because we don't want it to happen to people that we know. To be honest, we should probably talk to a couple of local churches too and just do this as
That's
an awareness
actually a good idea. Yeah.
So we'll kick around this. This is one of those things that I think would be helpful for there. The other thing that we do, that we are encouraged to do, is if we see something on our screen or in an email that we don't recognize, we have a little button called Report Phish, and that gets reported to our security folks. I mean, I get junk email all the time that is apparently coming from inappropriate individuals that I shouldn't know. So I'll send those off just because those are forms of attack. To be absolutely honest, for those of you that are professionals and you're using LinkedIn, or for those of you that aren't using Facebook, how do you know that somebody has reached out to you to get information is valid? And we should probably talk about that at some point in time.
Yeah, be honest.
Whole other thing.
One quick funny story. So my capstone project, when I was going to college, I know you love hearing about this.
Okay, so I'm going to go cry for a while, folks.
But we worked, so we had a project to go help a company with some website thing. Didn't end up turning out very well. That's besides the point, whole different story. But while we were there, they asked us to put together some data and reach out to some people that had access and they were in charge of those things.
Right.
So me and my buddy, classmate, emailed that person and kept emailing these people about, hey, we need this information from you.
Okay.
The next day, we no longer had access to the email system.
Yeah, because they thought you were a bad guy.
They thought we were bad guys. It was great. It was nice to see it happen in real life. But it was just very funny that we were scamming them, even though we were asked to do research for them.
Yeah, that's kind of the way that whole capstone project worked.
Again, it's how the whole project worked out. But it's just a funny little story. So it was just something I don't think I told you before. But yeah,
no, I hadn't heard that.
But with that, put a story of what happened to you or a friend down below. These things should be talked about. It happens to everybody. So with that, thanks for staying this long, and I hope you enjoyed.
Take care, folks. Have a good one. Take care.
Trails.